Hello, everybody. Let me fix this over here. Okay, obviously, I am by myself tonight. My wife is at a meeting and she probably will be here soon. But nonetheless, we have very special guests tonight. I'm hoping that my wife walks in through the door pretty soon. We had two special guests. And okay, just waiting a little bit. Hi, I see our guest in the back. So I'm just gonna get going here. Hey, Daryl, how you doing? She's, he's tuning in from Dallas tonight. Okay. Okay, so I saw our guest there for a little bit. But she's gone. Hey Dee, how you doing? Just waiting a little bit, waiting for my wife to get here. And well, anyway, the guest that we have for tonight, she was a former gymnast, and we're going to be talking about this book right here. Just waiting a little bit for people to come in. Everyone needs a Larry. Very compelling story about the love story. And I'm just waiting a little bit for more people to come in. Hey, Karen, how you doing? Can everybody hear me okay, by the way? Can everybody hear me out there? Okay. Yes, okay, Karen, good, good. Okay, you back there, good. Nice to see, nice to see. I see all guests on the green room waving. Anyway, I'm going to play a video before I bring them in, okay? You waiting? Okay, good. I'm going to play this video.
Something appears to be bothering her just a little bit. I think she was waiting for Stanford Boulder to complete her run-up.
It's one of the hardest things to do is to wait before you have to compete. Oh, you have so much energy, and all you want to do is get up there and go. Jump to a straddle press handstand. Front walkover, good extension. Stag pirouette all the way around. Good balance, very nice. Beautiful move. Right into a layout back handspring. Jennifer is a little cautious in every move that she makes.
Seems Nancy to be a tad bit mechanical in her movements.
Of course, it all shows up on the balance beam too, because you don't want to fall off, and sometimes you go a little bit slower just to make sure you don't fall off. If you go slow, everybody sees every mistake. Round up, full twisting, lay out back somersault. Very clean routine.
That was awesome. I gotta confess that I saw that competition, and when I saw that competition, I stole a couple of moves from Jennifer. Some of my girls were using that. Okay, without any further ado, we are going to bring Jennifer and Larry on. Hello,
Hi.
how you doing?
I'm gonna have nightmares now from that video.
I gotta tell you, I said earlier that I saw that competition. I was watching that competition, and a couple of my girls were using some of your moves,
Which ones?
especially the pirouette.
The pirouette, yeah.
I
That was
have, I have
one of
one
my
of my girls.
moves.
That's how I get ready for my day each morning now. I start with a few pirouettes, and then I find a beam to balance on.
That's how you get up in the morning, huh?
That's how I start every day now.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
You know, I was reading
I
your
would
book.
be in the hospital if I did.
You'd be in the hospital, you said?
If I did that, what you just saw Jen do, if I did that any day of my life, I'd be in the hospital after that, yes.
You know, I'm going to get back to that later, but I want to first get into what you did before you met each other.
Well, I was acting and singer-songwriter and teaching yoga when I met Larry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we met on Match.com. And I had a tagline that said, looking for my Elton John, because I always felt like I was a really good writer and lyricist, but I wasn't so good with the music writing, but I did it because I had to. But I always wanted to be my Elton John because I felt like I was a Bernie Taupin type. So that was the tagline. And then he was in the music world and he saw the tagline. We both love Elton John. We both love Billy Joel. We both love U2. And that's how we connected.
And so you touch a little bit. He's the wife.
Hi, wife. Hi. I'm wife too.
So Larry was doing music, and that's how you found it. I know that you touch a little bit on that. So Larry, tell me about your past before you met Jennifer.
I actually went to the same music school that her dad did. Way before I knew her, the University of Miami Music School. And most kids were auditioning with Chopin and Beethoven and Mozart, but I didn't read music. I taught myself how to play right before college started. So I played by ear, and I was playing Elton John and Billy Joel songs instead of classical. So I was accepted on probation because they basically said, you don't know what the heck you're doing. You have some talent, so we'll give you a shot. And then I was in I wasn't good enough to become the rock star I wanted to be. So I came out to Los Angeles, got into the business world for many years. I won't bore you with that long story, but Elton John had always been a favorite. And when I saw that tagline, looking for my Elton John, it spoke to me. I basically had no choice. I was drawn to it and I had to answer. And that was 13 years ago. So
what were you doing
before
you met me?
I was having a lot of fun before I met her. No, before I met her, I was in the record business from 1978 through early 2000s. And then when technology changed the entire industry, I made sort of a beeline out of that. And I bought into a college marketing company that produced various publications, primarily for the fraternity and sororities on about 80 or 90 major college campuses. And we trained college kids how to sell advertising. That's where the revenue came from. But by the time I met Jen, I was ready to, as they say, settle down. I had heard my life story too many times. Now she's heard it too many times.
Now you guys will get to hear it.
How did it change once you met? I mean, that's an interesting story. You met on Match, you said?
Match.com.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was, I'll tell you that October 4th, 2013 is when we started dating, because that's when we met. Jen will tell you 3 months later, January 10th of 2014, because in her mind, we were just friends. And in fairness, we really were.
So
And
we met in October. We started dating in January. He proposed a year later, and then we were married a year and a half later.
you know what I learned? This is not a family
And
show,
then a year
right?
and a half after that, we had stage 4 cancer, and
Right.
the rest.
One quick thing that I'll add that I learned about dating for people that like to say that they're looking for a relationship when they may not be. Jen was the first woman that I met that I really liked, where the physical aspects, the sex, was taken off the table. So we had 3 months of writing songs together because that's all she wanted to do. She just wanted to be my friend. I wanted to be boyfriend and girlfriend. And because when you take sex off the table, you really get to know the person.
Right.
You know, it's very different. So I recommend for anyone that is single that's looking to be in a relationship, give that a try. It worked for me.
Is that don't have sex on the table.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not that I like that, but if you take it off the table, you really you just the relationship and where it goes and the conversations, I think, are even more honest. You know, there's no agenda. You know,
totally understand what you
like.
I think it's a necessity.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been married?
15 years.
Wow.
And you know what, Larry, I agree with you because we didn't talk about that at all. We were talking a lot on the phone, and we were talking on the phone and the computer at the same time.
When Yahoo Instant Messenger was a thing.
Yeah. So we didn't talk anything about that. As a matter of fact, we talked more about you kissed it good in gymnastics this weekend and things like that. And people thought that they knew that we were in love, but we didn't know it.
Right. That's great.
Yeah,
you were the last ones to figure it out, right?
You guys caught on pretty quickly.
People were saying, "Yeah, you two, are you two together?" No, we were friends. I think it's very important to be friends first and get to know each other in that way. Now, I said that I will get back to the balance beam again because I've been saying that using gymnastics as a metaphor for life. Now, of course, the balance beam, if you're out of balance, you got to try to get into balance. Now, you two meet, and 18 months later? When you were diagnosed with cancer. So now, the person that's always in balance, now is out of balance. So
very out of balance, yeah. But little did I know, I was pretty out of balance leading up to being diagnosed. I just didn't know it. And then, boom, the diagnosis hit. I like to though think of also gymnastics and being an athlete and training for the Olympics. I had that discipline, that passion, that tunnel mind vision of what I wanted to go after. And when cancer struck, I just wanted to be healthy again and stay alive. And that was sort of, I think, also my driving force because I knew so desperately I didn't want to die. I wasn't ready to die. So what do I need to do to do this?
Yeah,
and
it's like a complete change. You know, mindset, this is what I want to be. Now it completely changes after, you get that diagnosis.
Exactly.
And obviously we went through dramatic changes because we were newlyweds and we were actually going through in vitro trying to have a kid. And little did we know cancer was growing inside of her. And the worst thing you could be doing is pumping in all those hormones.
Well, that's not true.
Well,
triple negative didn't start that, but they said it could have instigated it right away.
But they did say, had you gotten pregnant?
Oh yeah, but that had nothing to do with
Yeah. Okay. We're having our own conversation.
That's okay.
But I mean, for me, at one point, our book was called either, I forget, it was Better Me Than You or Better You Than Me, because I am the better caregiver and she's the better patient. So if it had to happen, it's good that it happened to her with, because I was a manager for many, many years. And one of the things you realize, all of us, when you get to a certain stage in life, you start learning attributes of a caregiver, whether you're a parent, whether you're a manager, whether you're a doctor, or no matter what you do, you're taking care of things. And I've always said I'm much better at managing others than I am myself. And that's what I did. I was literally a manager in the record business. So I had to manage all different kind of personalities. Now, the personality closest to me, I had to manage not just her career, but a life and death situation. And I'm not a doctor. So it was, if you read the book, you'll find it was not smooth sailing at all.
That's one thing we want to get to also. We've been reading the book, and actually we're going to play it out, my wife and I, but we didn't get a chance, but we are going to do it one time. I love the concept of how you wrote the book, where you're going back and forth, and you show us a little bit just now when you were talking.
Yeah,
I think it's
we're always interrupting and always
It came so naturally to me, and as we were writing it. And he was sending me like his sections of the book, and then we would have an argument of like what actually happened, and like, wait, that's not what happened. That is what happened. Oh, is it? So it was so natural to write it that way. And I see it. I mean, our ultimate dream is to kind of like put it on the screen in a series and sort of be those characters that jump off the screen, you know, and they have their little argument, and then the actors have to go back and like redo everything. I think it would be so quirky and cute and
Yes,
I think that,
absolutely.
I think that too. You know, when my wife was reading it yesterday, because we got the book a long time ago. We wanted to bring you on, but I wanted to read a little bit more of the book, and it's a motivational book as well.
Yeah. It's to how to handle a challenge, whether it's cancer, whether it's a death, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a move. It's like we all have to face challenges, and if we embrace them and look for lessons and how we're supposed to learn from it, the challenge will help us as opposed to make us miserable and all of that. So that was like one of the huge lessons. Love your challenge, and the challenge will love you back.
We also wanted to show from both the caregiver and the patient's perspective, because like, as Jen just said, it's the same set of facts resonated very differently with me than they did with Jen. And for every patient that's out there, there's typically one or many or a plethora of caregivers that are involved with that patient. And you go through very, very different dynamics. And like Jen said, whether it's cancer or a life-threatening illness, or even if it's something, you know, something else that's happened in your life that causes a major transition, we all go through that, you know. And I said to Jen in the beginning, I won't get into the long story, but I said, this is just a speed bump. I don't know why it's happened, but we're going to learn from this, and we're going to be better and stronger when we come out the other end.
He always thinks he's like the savior of everything. And he doesn't realize, like, after I chose my oncologist, he was like having a freak out attack because he didn't want me to go with the person I chose.
I did not.
And the person I chose was like my gut feeling reaction. And I was like, after that day, I was like, I got this. I know this is going to be the best thing that happened to me. And he was screaming and yelling and thinking I was going to die and freaking out.
Hold on.
Let
me tell you why.
He's like, and I knew it was going to be.
I did know, but I'll tell you why. Because the doctor she picked was not typically treating patients individually anymore. He had created the antidote for the HER2 strain of breast cancer. And through a family friend, he agreed to meet with us and offered to take on Jen's case. My concern was he was so busy running research at UCLA, and we knew so little about this that we wouldn't get the availability or accessibility that I felt I needed as the caregiver. I was going to have a million questions. And I felt the other surgeons who I felt were well equipped as well would be far more accessible. That it wasn't that he was not a good doctor. It was that I didn't feel that he would be there. Well, what do I do now? Or what do I do next? Or how do I handle this? And I was right about that, actually. But he was great, and everything worked out, obviously.
Yeah, it was the best decision of my life. One of the best, other than marrying you.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, finally I get a compliment.
Oh, there you go. My wife has a couple of questions.
We're ready.
Yeah, so I just wanted to circle back because, Larry, you were saying that, you know, the way the situation happened was meant to happen because you're more of a caregiver. And you talked in the book about how you learned that from your mom.
My mother, who passed away last August, it was actually a blessing. She had like full-blown Alzheimer's. So she didn't know anybody. And we're actually having a celebration of life event on January 27th, which would have been her 90th birthday.
Oh.
And what I like to say is that I won the lottery when I got her as a mom. She was an incredible human being, and mostly she allowed me to be me. She never judged me, and she was able to handle she didn't agree with me a lot of times, but she sort of, through her actions and words, taught me about life. She was as much a friend as she was a mom. So I felt comfortable talking to her about anything. Whereas my dad was the complete antithesis of that. I only could tell him what I thought would make him proud of me and things like that. So I learned it from that, I guess, to start with. And I think most people do. It could be from a parent. It could be from an older brother or sister. It could be from a teacher. That's why I'm saying when it comes to caregiving, there's no school you go to, really. I think it's life that teaches us things. Right. I think I also was lucky in being a manager and dealing with some sort of high-end erratic personalities that, to say the least, that gave me a wonderful sort of prep. That was like, caregiving 101, 102, 103, and 104. Because there were many times that, Jen and I disagreed, and it was hard for me to just bite my lip and say, okay, honey, whatever you say. I'm not really good at that. We have our debates, about things. We both stand up for what we believe. And
it's always about showing up.
But it's about showing up. And that Jen brings that up. That's true. The number one thing about being a caregiver is to show up. And one of the things that was mind-blowing to us that we found through this, how many people don't, and how many relationships end because whichever side, whoever the caregiver side, can't deal with it.
There you go. Yes.
And it breaks a lot of relationships up.
Yeah.
So fortunately with us, it did not do that.
Yeah, but it was interesting because a lot of people, knowing we were just newlyweds, they were like, "You're so lucky that Larry's staying around." I'm like,
I said, "What do you mean?"
I'm like, "Am I that bad?" And they're like, "Well, no, I mean, he really didn't sign up for this, And I was like, "Well, I didn't sign up for this either, but we love each other and we believe we're going to make it through." And I think it was also because I was such an amazing patient. And I really did truly say, this is going to be the best thing that happens to me. It's going to be the best thing that happens to us. And I wasn't miserable, throughout. I was possibly maybe not demanding, but, asked for a lot of things.
As a matter of fact, I think I was more miserable than she was because she had gone into this zone of positive mindset. And welcomed the chemo and welcomed everything she embraced it all. I was not that happy. I was saying, oh, God. And by the way, she played the cancer card even when she was cancer free.
I was going to bring that up.
She's still using it today.
Oh my gosh. Well,
everything from walking this little one who's now blind, and our dog is now blind and deaf. But we used to take them on long walks, and first thing in the morning in the cold, it's not so much fun. And Jen, it's your turn. My turn. I have cancer. What are you talking about? I said, what are you talking about? You're healthier than I am now.
It's kind of, it's a perk you need to play, right? Especially if you're the one with cancer.
Especially the handicap sticker, right?
Oh,
yeah. Definitely. That's another perk.
Yes.
You got to milk.
So you guys mentioned before what the title of the book could have been. How did you finally end up with this title?
Okay. Well, you like telling this story.
So one night, one of Jen's really dear friends.
Because it wasn't his idea.
No, it was not my idea.
I actually fought for it because we had been saying this phrase as a joke for a while.
We had T-shirts made up.
Yeah, the phrase came from one
I'll
of
tell
my
you how.
friends. Yeah,
I'll tell you. Okay. So One of her friends is in the back, one of the rooms in the back of our house, and they had the door closed. It was like, like a girls' night, and I was essentially serving them, and I kept bringing in food and taking their plates and bringing in food, taking their plates. And by the third trip, her friend said, "I got to tell you, everyone needs a Larry." And I said, "Thank you for noticing." At least somebody's noticing.
Yeah.
And then for my birthday, our birthdays are one day apart.
Yeah.
She made T-shirts for everybody to wear. It said, "Everyone needs a Larry."
And that was a surprise.
When the talk came about, Jen brought it up about being the title of the book. I was uncomfortable with it because, I'm pretty brash as it is, and I didn't want people to think I was that arrogant that I wanted to name the book after me. So I had nothing to do with the name, except it's my name, but it's metaphorically means everyone needs somebody.
Everyone needs a character. Yeah, whoever that person is.
I think it's beautiful, and it's just basically telling people that, like you were saying, everyone needs someone, and I just think that is so important because it's true. It's true. Even if you're not maybe going through something that is as difficult as a family member being diagnosed with cancer, we all need that one person that you can, tell them what you're feeling or a shoulder to cry on. But I think that is so, so very important. And, but I can understand why you would feel that way, Larry. Like, wait.
You know what else? It's funny. You brought up my mom. I'm thinking she used to say to me, especially when I was single, because I'm very independent. I got very good at taking care of myself. And she said, "Wouldn't it be nice to have someone take care of you?" So it's not only the ability to take care of someone, but the ability to allow someone to take care of you. Do you know what I mean? Jen and I are still working on that where, we both like to be taken care of, but we also like to do what we like to do when we like to do it, And so sometimes you have to let go and just let the other person just do their thing. So.
This is the cover of the book. Everyone needs a Larry.
And I noticed, because imagery is everything in the business that I'm in. And I see how your face is the forefront of the cover. And I have to assume that was done purposely.
Yeah.
Not by choice again, though. I didn't even want that photo. I hated the photo.
Well, I love the photo, but it was the cover design person that we hired that actually was so taken with that photo. And it made sense to me, like her explaining it. And because it was highlighting, like the journey is about the patient, but it was highlighting that we really overlook our caregivers and the people who love us and stand and do anything for us. And it was really honoring and making them the forefront of the story.
Okay, so then you created a
zero negative out of stage 4 triple negative cancer. Yeah.
That's your story. So
yes.
Tell that story.
Oh, yes. So I was going through chemo and really grateful for everything. And also in the back of my mind, not knowing if I was going to live or die because I'm just starting treatment. I have a stage 4 diagnosis. I believe that I'm going to be okay, but who knows, So I desperately wanted to make the last years of my life mean something. And so part of that meant I really want to be on that that team of giving back to cancer research, because possibly my life depends on my doctors who are researching and trying to come up with a cure. So as I was going through treatment, by the 3rd round of chemo, they couldn't find the tumor. They were so impressed by how fast it was responding to the chemo. And I truly believe it was how I prayed and took in chemo and surrendered and didn't fight it. And I was like, it's all about love. I'm showing gratitude. I'm showing appreciation for everything I'm going through. That has to be a message that I am doing to raise money for cancer research. And then it became a chemo bag, a love tote, a bag that said love, and manufactured, started the company during chemo. And I was just desperate to do my part and give back to cancer research at UCLA. So that was the beginning of it.
Well, my wife lost bags, so we're going to make sure that we get.
I don't understand why I don't have one already.
I would love to send you guys one.
Like he knew that you made these bags. I don't understand why it wasn't here.
Well,
Last
Valentine's Day is coming up.
there you go. Cute.
You know how they were so attractive that one day I was sitting in an outdoor restaurant in Beverly Hills at like a breakfast place, a casual place, and there was a buddy of mine whose wife owns a great women's store, and I brought him one of Jen's bags to show him to see if it would be something she could carry in the store. And when I took it out of the bag and out of the wrapper and everything, it showed I was holding it up like this. A woman was walking up the street the other way and said, "Wow, where did you get that bag?" To make a long story short, I sold a bag right there to this woman, had to have the bag. I said, "Well, it's my wife's line. She just started it and blah, 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 blah." And so, you know, it's something that is both functional and stylists. I'm not a bag manufacturer. I don't know anything about that world, to tell you the truth.
It's a tough world. It's basically, running a company is a lot harder than going through cancer, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it. But it was really about the message and sort of serving as a reminder when you're carrying the bag, especially when you're going through chemo, to just know that you're loved and choose love over fear, as hard as it is. You know, just try to vibrate in that way. And that really does help heal. I truly believe that.
There was also an organization at UCLA called the Johnson Cancer Center Foundation that was very instrumental in the emotional aspects. And we both have gotten very close with them. And so Jen attached her company to them. That's who she helps to raise money for. They're a huge foundation that has spent, you know, tens and tens of millions of dollars on cancer research and has saved, you know, tons of lives over the years. So they're wonderful.
That is wonderful. And we'll make sure we get the link for the bag and also most importantly for the book. When we share this interview with our viewers, let's go to a couple of comments first.
Let me just so look at this guy right here.
Oh my gosh. That's how I found you, or that's who connected us.
Yeah, he's the one. He's responsible. He books the show.
He's very responsible. And it's funny, like, we don't really know if we've actually met each other in person, but we have so many gymnasts in common that we're friends with.
That's how I know him. So he has a lot of comments.
Yeah. No, that's for me.
Winning a pins and deals for your better.
That's a comment for me. This one right here.
Which one? This one?
Yep. Let's click on that one.
I understand Larry's concern.
So he was diagnosed.
Yeah, he has a crazy story too.
Ah.
Yeah.
Daryl has a story?
Well, yeah, he's also a survivor.
Ah.
So let's drop down to the next comment. It's another comment from Daryl. He says, caregiving is really hard. So many times the patient will outlive the caregiver.
Ooh. Thanks, Daryl.
I'm sort of planning that. In another 50 years, hopefully.
Well, it's interesting because I'm older than Jen, so you'd think just by chronological age that I would be the first to go. But I said, look, so far you're the athlete, but since we've been married, you got cancer. One night we were on a date night. I was playing the piano for her. She's dancing. She fell. The gymnast you just saw on the beam fell on our living room floor, literally broke her wrist, had a cast for months.
Wow. You know, gymnasts that are good on the beam are not good walking. I had a girl that was 3-time state champion on the balance beam, but we have footage of her. Every time that she was working on the mat, she would trip.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Let me just tell you also, doing gymnastics was not kind on my body. After 7 surgeries through cancer, the 8th one that year had to be a hip replacement because I basically couldn't walk because I had arthritis in my hip. And I need a knee replacement on my other side I'm just trying to get another 10 years out of it.
The
before it
caregiving
needs to
never
be
stops. I'm
replaced.
telling you.
Yeah. Got to keep him on his toes.
The next comment, Daryl is mentioned a T-shirt.
Is what? Oh,
I want the love T-shirt, but it says not available yet.
Oh. I think I have some. I'll definitely. What would you be, a large or an extra large?
You probably.
He's gonna. Okay.
Oh, Larry.
You have an unbelievable brush with death in 1978.
Oh wow! Yeah, Daryl. This is my
book.
Nice, Daryl. That's a great. I have this great Destiny story. Jen is far more spiritual than I, but I am a major believer in destiny. In 78, was my first job in the record business was with Motown Records, and I was just some punk kid that was starting out. And this is in the days way before 9/11. And, even to go to San Diego, you would fly from LA to San Diego. You wouldn't think about doing that today. And I was stuck in a meeting at Motown offices. So I was late getting out, and I got on the 405 freeway, the big freeway out here. And I realized there was no way I was going to make the flight, but there was no cell phones there. I had to pull off the side of the road and go to a payphone and call the program director I was going to meet. He was this big shot guy that I had waited months to get a meeting with, and called him and said, Joel, hey, it's Larry Tolin, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not going to make it. Can I come down either later or tomorrow? I was basically begging because this is my first job and I want to do good. He says, no, don't worry about it. We'll just call me in during the week. We'll make it another time. I was heartbroken. I was so embarrassed and heartbroken. I went home. I didn't even go back to the office. I come in the office the next morning and I see three women over at the water cooler. One of them runs the travel department at Motown, and their eyes go like this. They run over. They're all hugging me. What I didn't know, because there was no social media then, there was a PSA flight that I was booked on that crashed with no survivors. Had I been on that flight, I would not be on this podcast. So from that moment on, I knew that things happen for a reason. And I truly believed in destiny. And that was one of the reasons why I said to Jen, selfishly, it's not my destiny to have a new wife dying on me of cancer. So you're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. It's a speed bump.
I love that.
Yeah.
Your destiny.
But Daryl, thanks for bringing that up.
I would like to hop to chapter 21, chemo perks.
Okay.
I thought the exchange in that chapter was very comical. So I'm going to read the opening
I actually have the book. I'm going to pull it up.
Oh, you have the book? Yeah.
Okay.
Chapter 21. What page is it?
151.
Okay.
Chemo perks.
By the way, while she's looking, I don't know if Jen mentioned that initially Jen was going to write a book about cancer. And I said, why don't, that's where when we got in conversation, we talked about the, doing it from both patient and caregiver's perspective. But the style that you mentioned, really where it came from, one of our favorite romantic comedies was an older movie called When Harry Met Sally.
Right.
And Jen likes to say, this book is like When Harry Met Sally, ... and Sally gets cancer. Because we have the same sort of sarcastic, back and forth and everything. We wanted there to be not just this morbid kind of medical journal, but we wanted to have a real life story with some humor and all the ups and downs as well. But okay, page 151.
Wait, so should we read?
Well, no, let's.
And then.
Okay.
Okay.
You're gonna do.
Okay. So for our viewers, the opening paragraph, it reads, perk time. Chemo has major perks despite its reputation, proving my theory that there's always a positive to be found in a negative. You might have to dig deep, but it's there. If it's not, just make it up. It was fascinating to be at the center of an experience that revealed how powerful our thoughts are. We can't change our situation, but we can change the way we see it. I love that. That's the true magic we have over our situations. I love that. You can't change your situation, but we can change the way we see it. And I think that is so true.
So powerful.
Okay, so even though, okay, we're David Letterman fans, so we put together our own top 10 list of chemo perks, even though there are only 7. But anyway, here are JJ and LT's top 7 chemo perks. Perk number 7, as the patient, you have the right to ask your caregiver for anything you want. You guys already talked about that.
Mm-hmm. Just ask the caregiver.
Yep, just ask the caregiver. Perk 6, we had a handicap placard for the car for about a year and a half. OMG, the best. Anyone who's circling around looking for a parking spot knows that is
especially in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, it's so key.
Yeah.
Perk number 5, skin. I had this glow going on. Porcelain, blemish-free skin, and everyone told me how healthy I looked. Now that's interesting because I would think, and most people think, the exact opposite.
I don't know what it was, but it's called a chemo glow, and I had it. And if I had a wig on, you wouldn't see that I was bald. I'm sure if I was bald, they probably wouldn't say, "Oh, you look so healthy." But if they saw the wig and it was a real looking hair wig, I looked really good.
By the way, we went to a family birthday dinner one night, and Jen was wearing her famous blonde wig. And the host said to Jen, "Oh, I love your hair." And Jen turned around to me. She said, "That's the first time in my life anyone ever complimented my hair." It was her wig. It was fun because she had all these different color wigs. So it was like being with somebody different all the time.
It was something I wasn't expecting. And some people complain that chemo, they get major acne and rashes and this and that. But I reacted in a completely different way. It was like a facial that I got. Yeah. So
perk number 4, we did touch on a little bit. The cancer card. We played it whenever necessary because, well, we could. And it was so helpful. My wife is tired. I'm sorry, my wife doesn't feel so well. My wife needs to rest. Our apologies, but my wife is not up for it.
You get the picture.
Perk number 3, I saw the beauty of humanity in all forms. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, everyone wanted to support me in some way. So I was being a little sarcastic because I was getting random gifts in the mail from people I didn't know, from people I did know, from companies that were sending me cashmere scarves and fingerless gloves, and then just friends sending me food and juices, and it was just everyone came, and it was so heartfelt and meaningful, and it really made me see how much I had in my life that I really took for granted.
It's like every day was her birthday.
Yeah, it felt like I was just being held up. I'm like floating and I'm just being held up, and it felt so good.
There's Jen.
Perk number 2, quite interesting. No more PMS symptoms for Jen since she stopped getting her period. Need I say more? I think Jen was just as happy about this as I was, and this caregiver didn't have to deal with the moodiness and bitchiness. It's something to be thankful for. Trust me.
Then we had an argument because then it was like my perk, not his.
Right.
That was like my perk. I'm so happy I don't have to have that anymore.
And perk number 1 is surviving, obviously. My tumor shrunk so fast that my doctors were shocked. After the 3rd round of chemo, Dr. S said he could barely feel it, which made him and me very excited. We were hoping by the time I had my double mastectomy surgery, I would be cancer-free. It was all possible, which would mean that chemo saved my life. A definite perk.
You took my perk again.
You took my perk again.
You know what is a fun thing to do when people are there when you get this book is to have a feeling relationship, especially now February coming. Read the book together back and forth like you wrote it. I think that will be fun. I was talking about that with my wife. I think that's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, and I love just hearing you read it as opposed to me and Larry, because I feel the way you read it, everyone has their way of taking it
Interpreting
in and
it, yeah.
interpreting it. And it was really cool. I liked it. Really
Yeah.
cool.
Great.
And, it's also something that I like to tell patients, especially even if there are hardly any perks to see, it's so important to really try to find those perks and then to focus on those perks. Because once you take your mind off of focusing on the negatives and the really hard stuff, you can focus on positives, and then you just let those positives kind of grow, and it doesn't give a voice to the negatives. And so if you can just come up with your own list of good things and what you appreciate, what you're grateful for, it just fills you with a different feeling about it all.
It's like perspective. I have a friend of mine who I call the luckiest guy in the world. He has everything he could ever wish for, but he always finds something to bitch about, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I said, you have no idea how lucky you are. And when I say that to him, he stops and says, you're right. And sometimes, look, I'll do it. I'll come home and be just in the worst mood just because I was in 15 minutes of traffic or something like that, or I didn't get a parking spot. I mean, the things that are in the grand scheme of things are so innocent and so inane that nobody should care. And we lose sight of the big picture. There's people starving to death. There's people, there's a lot worse things going on in the world, but it's all perspective. It's all relative.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I like to say to people, never give your emotion, never let someone else be in control of your emotion. Even if you're going on traffic and somebody does something, and if you get mad at them, they took control of your emotion. We have to be responsible for our own happiness. So no matter what emotion you're feeling, take a deep breath and then go for it and say, I'm going to change. Those people are not going to change the way I feel. I'd rather change, I'd rather change the way I feel, rather change the circumstances.
We have this spiritual guru that I'll call her, that Jen and I see occasionally, and she's very insightful. And she'll say, everything's a story, and you choose what the story is. If you want the story to be that the sky is falling, then the sky will be falling. If you think that you are left with all these issues, but you embrace it like Jen did with the chemo,
right,
that's your story. That it's you like you said, you're in control of your own story and how you approach it.
Yeah.
I just remember the way I wrote it.
Yeah.
The way I wrote it, don't allow circumstances to change the way you feel. Rather, let the way you feel change the circumstances.
That's great.
Yeah, because you could go someplace and somebody's having a bad day, and their energy will make you feel a certain way. But if you're in charge of your emotion, you don't allow that to happen.
Yeah, and you can also maybe have compassion for that person who is so miserable. They must be going through something. Maybe they're having a bad day, but it's almost like, oh, that how they're showing up is showing me who they are and what's going on with them. And you could possibly help them by smiling and say, and not taking that as being your positive self. And that could change their day. You never know.
There was a great line. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say,
there was a great line when I was when I had the college business teaching, these college kids that came in to learn how to sell for the first time in their life. And we had, 200 college kids, and I had all these managers that would in breakout groups, and they'd learn. I won't bore you with that part, but I did a lot of sort of research on it. And there was a line that I read that was great, that he said, people won't remember as much about what you said as much as they will about how you made them feel.
Made them feel, right?
Yeah. That's what they remember. Yeah.
That is true. And now you have a new business now. You manage Paula Abdul was one of the people that
I managed Paula from the beginning of her career. That was back in '88. The new business is called The Best You.
It's kind of like being a caregiver, but professionally. He basically comes in and helps people who are having a struggle of some sort, whether it's financially or a change or a death or a move or a divorce. he is hired to come in and help them get grounded and on their feet again and stable in their new lives. And it's like a caregiver.
It's the same thing that Jen talks about. It's if you're going through a transition, like my initial clients were people that went through a really, really difficult divorce, and another person went through a very difficult situation where a husband of 40 years passed away and she had no clue she was kind of lost. And there was another one where a house burned down and she had to deal with like all the business stuff and dealing, serving as a liaison between the accountants and the lawyers and the insurance companies and things like that. So it's part business, part emotional, part, spiritual, part everything, but it's management. It's really just, it's the same thing, only instead of making record deals and endorsement deals, you're working for, kind of everyday people instead of celebrities.
Do you think that that's something you would have went into had Jen not had her diagnosis?
No. I think no chance. I think it came about because of that. Number one, and also things I had to do for my mom also. I was managing, she had set up a trust and I was managing the family trust. So it was the combination of the business acumen I developed from being sort of her financial caregiver to the other acumen I developed being Jen's caregiver, and you sort of put them together. And then
just people started calling.
Well, it was my wealth manager called me and said, do you want to make a few bucks? I said, sure, if it's legal. And I said, doing what? He said, doing what you do for your mom and your wife. I said, what do you have in mind? And he introduced me to my first client. And that's, that's how it started.
Wow.
So I have I guess it's not that unusual, but I am far better at taking care of others than I am myself. I'm far more reasonable teaching others than I am with myself. I think I make better decisions for others than I do myself. It's just one of those inherent things.
Well, that brings me to what I was saying before about the balance beam, that when, like when you're out of balance, all you're trying to do is regain your balance. And with all these things that happen to you, you will say, oh my goodness, life is out of balance now. Now, you could either choose to give up or choose to learn something new from it. And I think that we always say that there's always a lesson behind every tragedy. There's a lesson.
Yeah, exactly.
Behind anything that's happening, there's a lesson. But people usually close the door and say, oh, it's too much. But I'm so, inspired for what, how the things that happen to you, even though you go, oh my goodness, this is terrible. But at the same time, what came out of it is amazing,
And it's funny how it all comes back to the balance beam. But it also, if you look at my life before cancer, and because we were trying to have a baby and it wasn't working, I was really depressed and not sure what my purpose was going to be in life if I wasn't able to have a kid. And I was just so beaten up and down on myself and feeling like a failure in so many things. Then I get cancer, stage 4, boom, I'm a goner. The universe wants to kill me because I did nothing with my life, basically. And then going through the interviews for the doctors and learning from my oncologist that the pregnancy I was trying to get pregnant from, that pregnancy would have killed me. And in that moment, everything changed. And I saw the universe as saving my life by not giving me what I wanted then. So I saw cancer as this gift that was going to give me so many things. I just had to get through it and look for lessons and embrace it. And because I really did want it to be a positive and not a negative, I think I just kind of wrote the story with the whole universe and worked with them. And now I'm so much happier from everything. So what you said is so true. It's like we all face challenges and we shouldn't give up. We should look at every challenge as a gift. This is a gift to make us better. This is a gift. Possibly we need to go deep and heal. This is, or change something that's not working in our lives. But we all have to do that. That's what being a human being is. You know, that's what we kind of signed up for, I think, when we came here. We gotta grow and evolve and get through stuff and kind of appreciate everything because we're only alive for so long. What's the worst thing is if I wasn't here, then I would have nothing to go through. You know, so wow, I get to go through this horrible thing, but yay, I'm alive and I get to do it.
Right.
And as hard as that is, it's just, it feels better to think of it that way. That there's a purpose in your pain. There's a purpose in it all, in the struggle.
How long did it take you to write that book, and when we're going to make that movie?
The movie, oh my gosh, that's my dream this year to get the deal done and it started. And the book took, well, we were grateful for COVID. I think you guys started the show because of COVID, right?
Yeah, that's right.
We finished the book during COVID. So because we were stuck in the house and it had already been the idea planted, but because we were so busy, we weren't really focused on writing a book. We just had ideas. And I had been writing a journal throughout the whole thing. And I had saved the letter writing that we had. And yeah, grateful for the quarantine and not having to get out of our house and having to figure out something. And that's what came out of it. So I'd say a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half?
Well, a year and a half from beginning to end. But the whole story and how it formed was probably like 6 months.
Okay.
On paper. And then the editing and took probably more time.
Yeah.
I will say that Jen was much better at that process than me. I thought because most people, including my wife, would rather that I talk less than I do. I have no shortage of words.
You can tell just from every interview, he basically talks the entire time.
Right. Well, no, you have talked more than I have this time.
You have to like fight your way into the conversation.
No way. I'm not buying that. But I do love to talk. And yet it was very difficult talking in a stream of consciousness and just getting out of my head everything that I'm thinking is one thing. Putting it on a piece of paper in a sensical kind of organized fashion is another thing. And I have very serious ADHD that Jen doesn't buy into, and she thinks it's a mindset, but it's real, trust me. And it's hard for me to focus. And so Jen would like write down ideas for me to get me started. And then I would start talking into a voice memo thing. We had to use all these tricks. I thought it would be so easy. It was Jen was much better at the process than I was. Yeah. It was difficult for me.
I really loved the process too. Yeah. I kind of like loved it. I want to write another book.
Yeah.
So.
And it was so painful for me. Yeah. It really was.
Yeah. Wow. What's therapeutic for one is not for another, huh?
Yeah.
For another. So before we let you guys go, I want to read this. Should I read Jen's part and you read Larry's part?
Oh, well, sure. Let me.
Yes, I want to see it. I want to see it.
Okay, so this is right before chemo purse. This is on 150, but you talk about how you found meditation and it was helpful for you.
Okay.
So on page 150 of the book, Jen's pro tip, it reads, I found meditation very helpful as I mentally prepared for surgery. I took time to sit still, focus on my breath, and then imagine what it would feel like to find out I was cancer-free. This calmed my nervous system and was crucial in helping me stay positive in body, mind, and spirit.
Hey,
This is how he sounded.
Listen, I know why she wanted me to read that, because I like to sit down at the piano and sing in my meditation. I will light a candle, close my eyes, and play songs that I love. It allowed me to take my mind off everything. Whenever you play the piano, enjoy, whether you play the piano or enjoy a meditation practice, I highly recommend establishing a weekly ritual that will relax your mind, body, soul, even if it's only for 15 to 20 minutes. And yeah, because that's what I do. I play the piano or I grab my guitar, and the way we're different is that she's the talker and the writer.
There you go.
The reason why I wanted to read that is because we had a guest on some time ago, Lewis Landon, who's a phenomenal pianist, and he talked about how they did a therapy session where he would sit and play the piano, and the person would lie underneath the piano on the floor and listen and feel the music. So when I read that part, I was like, wow, that's what it reminded me of. But just thinking how therapeutic that is, how much music.
You know why that's so interesting? This little pain in the butt, our blind deaf dog, when he's just whining like he is now, if I go sit down at the piano, even if he doesn't come over the piano because he can't find it, it shuts him down.
Wow.
He's music, and sometimes even we'll put on Sonos, music with where there's a big woofer. He feels, even though he can't really hear, he can feel the bottom end, the woofer, the bass sounds.
Yeah, keeps him calm.
Yeah. I believe so much in meditation, whether they've done studies even with babies and people that are in pain and for pain therapy and things like that. So what your friend said, I agree with 100%.
Yeah. And Jen, you talk about how you found it helpful as you prepared for surgery, and you had to do that mentally, because not only it takes a lot out of your body, any type of surgery or things like that. Just talk about get a little bit deeper into how that helped you, like what your process was like.
Well, I found being present was the best way to prepare me, and being present was focusing on my breath. Your mind is going crazy, and it doesn't make you feel good sometimes when you're nervous. It's kind of like in gymnastics. We had to do all this visualization, seeing us land perfectly, doing perfect routines. It was that type of thing. I just envisioned sort of what I wanted to be or hear after the surgery. And I focused on my breath. I felt my breath. And the more I just focused on the breath, the less my mind got to say anything. And so it's also just known to calm you down, like your nervous system. The deeper you breathe, the longer you're going to live, the more oxygen you're going to get in your body. It's kind of like I was just doing what I should do for my body just to calm it down. And, putting that attention on the breath, it's pretty powerful. And since then, since cancer, I really have a meditation practice now that I'm actually working with a teacher, meditating every day, and we're documenting what is my life going to look like after a full commitment of a year meditation daily, and see what my life will be like in a year, and how my mind will be different, if it will be, or what my intentions are to bring into that for the end of the year, and see what happens. So I'm excited to do that.
Yes, that is beautiful. I think that's very important. I teach Tai Chi and Qigong.
Okay.
Which is
similar, but it's moving meditation, right?
Meditation, right? So it has a lot to do with the breath. If you find somebody on the ground and they're laying down, the first thing you want to know is, are they breathing? And the second thing you want to know is, could you move? So Tai Chi is breathing and moving. And then you got to really, I because of my accent, I can't use that word, but
focus.
Yes.
You can say concentrate.
Concentrate.
Focus, and it's all about coordination and breathing.
That's right.
It's like yoga. I love yoga and moving on the breath, and you're inhaling and doing something, you're exhaling and doing something, and
that's right.
And just tuning in. And I like to think of how you do yoga, or probably how you do Tai Chi, is how you live your life.
Right.
It's that type of awareness, presence, and you're aware of your mind, you're aware of what it does, you're aware of how your body's moving, you're aware of what emotions you're starting to feel, and you can calm those down with your breath.
This is awesome. This is awesome.
Can you guys let everyone know where to get the book and also the bag?
So the bags are at www.shopzeronegative.com, and it's all written out, shopzeronegative.com. And you can get the book hardcover on the website, shopzeronegative.com, or you can go to Amazon, and the book titled is Everyone Needs a Larry by Jen Greenhut Tolin and Larry Tolin. And it's available on Amazon.
Yes. That sounded like a commercial there.
Yeah.
This was such a lovely interview, and just hearing about your story and how you guys complement each other so wonderfully through this. It's so beautiful to see.
If we can do it, anyone can do it. That's sort of why we wanted to write the book. This is a normal couple get hits with cancer, and we didn't want it to be the worst thing to happen to us. So this is how we got through. So anybody can do it. And we really do want to inspire everyone who's hit with cancer or any kind of challenge. That's our dream, to help everybody.
And thank you guys so much for having us today too.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Daryl, if you're still listening. Thank you so much for the connection.
Daryl. Thank you, Daryl.
Yeah, and I love your idea with other couples reading different passages. That's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, that is fun. Do something. Oh, wait, we're
just going to post these last two comments. Daryl says, I'm so glad you were able to make the show. This might be my favorite one yet, and I've seen them all.
Thanks, Daryl.
Thanks, Daryl.
Is that Marsha? Okay, thank you so much. I had a bone marrow stem cell transplant last year and needed 24/7 care. So I can really identify with so much you talked about. Can't wait.
Great.
Oh, love that.
Okay.
Yes.
Again, thank you both for joining us live on Tweed Talks. Have a great night, and to health, wealth, and happiness.
Thank you.
Health, wealth, and happiness.
Thanks very much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, that was awesome. Yeah. It may be my favorite too. I was a little of sort without you. I kept so I just started the show right away. I wanted to bring them on for Valentine's, for the Valentine's show. But what I want to do is ask any couple out there that wants to be part of our Valentine's show. Yeah, you too, Daryl. Send us a note and see if we could do that show, the Valentine's show. Couple, different type of couple. We won't be able to put everybody on, but just send us a note if you want to be on the show. We don't know what days we're going to do that show because we're going to take a hiatus. We're going to go away to Atlantic City for.
So I posted the link to purchase the book and the bag. So when you go to the website, you can purchase both of those things. shopzeronegative.com. And I still don't know why my bag is not here.
Yeah. I meant to order, but I didn't know which one I wanted to get.
That one's cute, but I just feel like I always have a giant bag. And so there's this ongoing joke. My husband calls me the bag lady.
Yes.
And so I poked fun at myself the other day because I'm like, you know what? He's right. I always have at the minimum 2 bags, and they're not small bags. They're not, they're like carrying bags, sort of like the ones that are available on Shop Zero Negative. So.
Yeah. I was going to order the bag to get it, by Valentine.
Oh, wonderful.
So, but, we'll get it.
I'm having a really hard time talking and breathing today because I definitely pulled a muscle. So I was doing my best to try to get through the interview and smile at the same time. So.
Yeah, well,
I made it.
While we're going out, and I'm gonna play this to say goodbye.
Oh.
This is our friend Louis Landon.
Yes, that's who we were talking about.
That's what we were talking about before. This is resolution. The song.
And if you ask your ask for lessons, play songs by Linus Landon. She would love that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, now we're going to say,
Is this our last show of the month?
I was thinking of getting two people, from the event that we're going to and we're going to take a couple of weeks off. We'll do the Valentine's show, and
That's not going to be a couple of weeks. We're not taking a hiatus, you guys.
we are.
Oh, that hurt. You guys, this was such a touching show. Thank you so much for watching.
Peace. And oh, it's just getting good now. What? It's like when you sit in your car and you just arrive home, but you don't want to turn off.
Yeah.
Because
And you just
okay, but anyway, bye bye. Thanks for watching.